here, and then he eventually goes up.
Interesting.
A lot of these matchups. But I feel like this TSM team is Bjergsen once again on Galio. TSM fans start holding their breath. They remember last time. But I feel as though the Galio wasn't the issue. It was the side lanes not being able to carry there. And now it's Svenskeren on an early aggressive jungler. They'll be able to have somebody in the jungle who maybe is able to carry. I'm interested to see if Svenskeren goes for magic penetration this game, because he's most likely going to be the priority or the main source of magic damage from this TSM team.
The Xayah Rakan combo back in the hands of Biofrost and Double Lift as they get a little bit of comfort coming into this game as well. That Shen there, Renekton as well, as we did not see him banned out in that top lane for Lorlo possibly. Shen, not the greatest matchup, kind of get pushed around, but the Renekton could have been there as well for tank. We'll see how he does on the Gragas. Both teams seem like they got pretty much what they want. Definitely that Ashe for Piglet was first picked up for them, so they can still have the initiation and Piglet can keep himself safe. We'll see as we jump into our game 2. TSM win, hashtag TSM win, hashtag TL win. We're just about to be on the Rift, and we'll see if Team Liquid can continue a strong early game this time and not let TSM find a way back into the game. This time there's just as much, I think, potential for that to happen if we get the same scenario, but TSM may have a harder time finding that way back in with this composition.
Yeah, TSM, if they do get behind, it comes off of a dive to get back into it.
Yeah.
They'll have to use the Jarvan plus the Galio combo, which is what they're looking for, right? They're looking for the EQ into the Cataclysm to keep people inside of a little bit of just a terrain. And is that a paid by Steve chant?
I think so. So game 2.
Just like Steve. Kobe, I love that meme. That's great. But yeah, the Jarvan, you want to dive in, and then you want to have the Galio ulti on top of it. And because it's a Cassiopeia and Ashe, if they stay on top of each other, it could be pretty bad for those two carries. So TL, they scale incredibly well, but you do have to watch out for TSM taking over the mid game.
See how Golden Glue plays the Miasma is trying to ground a few of these members. It works a little weird. We'll see with Jarvan and whatnot.
So
we could go over that. So
the way that Miasma works for, I believe, like 90% of cases, I'm unsure if it's 100. There are still some things I haven't tested. Is Miasma is basically a root effect that you can walk while you're rooted. Right. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it means that you can actually cast things in Miasma that you can cast during roots. You can Jarvan EQ while you're on top of Miasma, because he can do that normally while he's rooted. You can't Q and then as like I would say a Vi or something, right? Because you can't charge it while you're rooted, right? Miasma also interrupts teleport, because teleport's interrupted by roots. So if somebody's TPing, put the Miasma on him, it's interrupted. So that's how the spell is coded for, I believe, 90% of cases.
Right. You might see some interactions with Jarvan in that later, so they don't catch you off guard. Storm Raiders to the side of Golden Glue, as we expect. Check out the other masteries. It seems to be in line and nothing crazy coming through this game.
Golden Glue also not starting with Corrupting Potion like Faker has been doing in the LCK, just to throw all of these little twin fangs at people and trade very heavily. Instead, for the early tier and looking to scale. So this is TL already saying we want to scale and be at that point by the mid game.
That's where they had the most control last time. They just need to be definitive with whatever advantage they have and that warding. Yeah. So level 1 aggression here. Biofrost not even waiting for that shield passive to come back up. Level 2 could come through the minions as they're fighting. Heals on both sides. The ignite as well. And yeah, there was a focus fire, and it was Matt pulling off.
It's almost level 2. They need to kill like one more.
Double Lift. If Matt can hit these minions behind them, Matt gets it, but Double Lift, or Piglet rather, is not going to yet. They dive in.
There it is.
Biofrost costs himself his life as they go into the engaged bot lane.
He didn't flash away there either. Biofrost still had it. Went in, and then the level 2 from Matt, the extra damage.
So tricky to do those level 1 fights. You're really pushing yourself to the limit. We'll see what Lorlo can do top lane here as he's going to get a bit of pressure. He is thinning out the wave before it reaches his turret, though.
You hear diehard Liquid fan basically killing his voice.
Yep.
He's also got a gigantic paid by Steve sign. So
where do you think he got it?
I mean,
there you go, Matt.
I guess it's a good reason to kill your voice, but yeah, TL looked really good in this play. I talked about Piglet. He's actually been looking quite good so far. And you can see Matt just trying to auto these minions, saying, let me get that level 2, gets it, and realizes, oh, I'm level 2, Piglet isn't. And then Biofrost tries to turn this around, and then he doesn't flash away.
Oh.
But the autos are still in the air, so we would have had to do that immediately afterwards. Biofrost's Rakan has not been looking that clean in both games, really. Some of these engages have been overshot, but hold on. Towards the mid, rain over, just pathing. Pathing through, nothing to see.
That's what my ganks are like. That's not my gank.
Where you give up all your pressure by revealing yourself.
Well, the walk down here, actually, that was Matt on the hang, right? He was in the fog of war there. There would have been Biofrost walking in to say, yeah, Bjergsen, we could have a 2v1. Oh, Matt.
Yep.
It would have been a very different situation. Coming back from this buy, though, double long sword and a call for double lift. So stack up.
And Rainover comes back. Now he's in front of the Galio.
Mid lane. Nice dodge out on the Durant.
Yeah, the whole idea is they need to get Golden Glue a little bit of a better back here because he's up against a teleport laner who already blew TP to get a Doran's ring. And that's a cannon minion plus a wave, so we'll see if Golden Glue takes his back now.
Lorlo doing a really nice job at keeping this wave centered.
Rainover just walked right over the Scuttle Crab.
Making sure that he can't get dove under his turret. Good push by Bjerg. Are they gonna miss?
Golden Glue actually backed twice there. He backed and then he had to run away and then back again. So completes his tier and he's going for, looks like a Rod of Ages next as well. This minion wave down bottom though, a lot of minions in favor of TL. You don't want to trade if you're TSM at this point. But TL instead want to maybe force an engage or look for some type of pick or stun so that they can use all these caster minions that are just going to push this wave very heavily.
Biofrost feel like he get a little bit of brush control. It's not enough with the size of the wave that they have let build up.
Now, harass them under turret while they try to pick up these minions.
Another one missed. 37 to 28, still something to clean up on this, but this is what happened last time. You had the Thresh, you had the Ash. They were able to push in double lift and Biofrost quite a few times. And this was actually when Rainover was all around the jungle doing much more. Here he's actually relieving a bit of pressure on the bot side, so he's still trying to be all over the place.
Yep, looks like Svenskaren's going to go to the top side. Oh, that's going to connect. But Rainover actually didn't come with. He actually went towards his jungle. Svenskaren's going to get time to put down wards in the top side jungle here. So he bought the Tracker's Knife. As soon as they saw Rainover bottom side, puts the control ward behind his red, and now he's going to ward up top side because the red buff will be coming up shortly.
Love the way Matt plays Bard as well. It's not just a brush control champion. You move around the caster wave, they have to keep an eye on you and what your cosmic binding range is what kind of angle you're looking for. You just see Matt getting those small tags in.
Yeah. Lorlo, though, taking a lot of damage topside.
For one of the times his minion wave reached the turret, TSM is there ready to gank. Wasn't the engage that they... Whoa! Lorlo!
Just kabobbed him!
Yeah! Woo! Right on the skewer. Definitely did not expect that. And Haunter picks himself up a very nice kill with a confidence flash in.
Yeah, that was awesome. And Lorlo was checking because they weren't making a play bottom side, and Rainover was on the bottom side. So I feel like he was trying to make sure that he wasn't getting ganked top, but yeah, it was kind of strange because he was not under his turret enough at the start. And you can see he's warding, gets caught, but he's warding the far side. So if he had warded the closer side and had been safer about it, then it would have been better. But that's usually where you'll ward because you can see them coming around the corner instead. And that was really good by Haunter. Q into the flash there. Let's get that damage. And this will be first turret.
Yeah.
First turret bottom with no jungle attention other than the clearing of a ward. So this lane has not been influenced by Rainover except for the clearing. And it's just been the pushing in here of Matt and Piglet, the double range matchup into having that support Rakan that did go too aggressive.
It's interesting how you play this as well. You sometimes just say, all right, Doublelift has a lot to farm. Biofrost can go help mid lane, help top lane, help get another lane going. But how much do you lose with having Doublelift down here now trying to catch back up and farm is the question. Is that a dragon? Is that more vision? Right now, TSM has done a great job after taking down Lorlo of setting up a security system on the top side. And TL has the same thing in the bottom as it starts to fade out just ever so slightly. Looks like as we get the lane swapped here, Piglet and Matt towards the top, full summoner ready. Let's see if they try to get anything onto Haunter here, as he'll probably be reading this timing. sees Lorlo playing a
Lorlo's
little
being,
different.
yeah, too aggressive there. And TL, it's a good swap from them. They did this the other day, too, where they have a good timing. The bottom lane will then go to the top side. And like you said, their mid game is pretty good where they have the right rotations here. But it's just the pushing after they get that outer ring of turrets. The tier 1 turrets are the things that are easy for TL. Maybe the tier 2s should like backdoor them in their dreams or something. Take a note from Hans's book.
It's always in the dreams. That's how you manifest it. If you think about it enough, it should happen.
I love that word. I love
some things.
Manifest it. Just make it happen. Manifest a gank top lane.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, Biofrost hasn't shown himself yet either, and since Garen's here too, they're gonna try to 3-on-2.
See, almost. They didn't manifest it hard enough since Garen walked away.
Yeah.
The words are there though, so TL can actually play this. A little aggressive, baiting in Svenskeren. Also knowing he's over at blue. Transfer this to Bjergsen, so his wave will never stop pushing. Oh, swag. If I ever saw it. Bot lane cleanup here by Lorlo as things, the pressure a little relieved. I feel like anything can happen here at the top lane if somebody missteps.
And now they put the matchup back where it was, the 2-on-2 in the top lane now, playing for the turret. Gotta watch out for that. There's this ward, the control ward behind TL. Hold on though, Svenskeren. Rainover going in.
That is a lot of damage in isolation for Sven. He's forced to flash out, actually gets Rainovers as well. As he gets the Bard Shrine to heal back up. Vision and control for TL is now from mid to top. Like we said, the rotations are good. Already picking off people as they go through the jungle. It's what can they get after that next. There were a lot of times last time when we saw Biofrost go down and TL didn't get anything as a result of those kills. You have to always be proactive.
The Hawks are being very aggressive, winning this matchup pretty heavily. The Q from Jarvan, a lot of people forget that it actually shreds armor when you actually pass through and deal damage with it. And it ends up shredding 26% for 3 seconds. So as he starts getting something like a Black Cleaver under his belt, you're ending up with about 50% there, the 24 plus the 26. But it's a little bit different in terms of how it stacks. But still, it's a lot of armor shred. So even though TSM is a quote-unquote like all the AD composition, I know some people would be like freaking out like, oh no, all physical damage. But they still have Bjergsen on Galio for some magic damage, and Svenskeren, we'll see if he goes for a more magic damage oriented build. And there's this control ward behind the top lane that could be teleported to by either Bjergsen or Hanser, so got to be careful, but they're pushing it very heavily. And that's right from Lorlo that time. Puts the control ward down earlier than he thinks he's going to get ganked. And, oh, but he's out of turret range right here. There, oh, Sven knocked in.
Oh, he gets caught in the Cataclysm at the end of his body slam. He hadn't passed through the wall yet. Hanser has to back off. But then what's the pressure top lane? They actually start peeling off to make sure it doesn't go any more than that turret. But TSM had already backed away. Seems like TL could have kept pushing. They choose not to, and they still trade the turret faster though, so just one step ahead.
Yeah, trying to pick up these small victories. They're going to try to look at Rift Herald after Rainover took that top side jungle, or at least parts of it. And they're going to trade that for the Cloud Drake here for TSM, who's also going to pick up that bottom tier 1 turret in exchange for their top tier 1. Waiting for it to kill all the minions. Left and caster. All good though.
Definitely, and say very cool, the priority that teams have been putting here onto Rift Herald, and then the results Rift Herald has on it for a team into getting Barons, into having control for that. See where TL decide to use this one. Last time they only had mid turret to take down. That was the last one. Here again, they're at just about the same rate to play this one. Around 15 minutes, mid turret's gonna get Rift Herald. We'll see if they can follow up after this. A little deja vu for TL. It's can they now get the win as we get to mid game.
Abyssal Mask picked up for Bjergsen, making sure that he has some extra magic damage, and it'll also help out Svenskeren. But aside from that, nobody else. But like you said, the mid turret is exactly where they're looking right now. They have the Rift Herald. It's being channeled right now. Rainover's already started up. You need to get it to about half HP from auto attacks, and the Rift Herald will do the rest. So that's what they're looking for here. And I believe that should do it. Just a little bit more. Oh.
Number Fate goes
Got him on the return.
Great timing on the fall. Lorlo as well throws the ult over. Hanser trying to deter from the right side. Doublelift will focus on top as they actually get double damage out of this. A little less as Rift Herald does damage based on his HP. And they're going to be able to clear that one out. Here we go, heading to the bot side as TL starts doing a little janitorial duty on the waves to clean up.
I love that guy.
It's been saved up, right?
I mean,
all this time, and now they let it out.
Exactly. They're 1-4 right now. And, memes be damned. TL fans are getting a little bit excited whenever they see something like this with a lead, but can't get too excited because stuff like that.
Hanser just gets on the other side of Golden Glue, freezes up Bjergsen, but the 2v1 is too much for him. And he goes down. TSM trying to make a move as they ping towards the top side. Getting vision down. It's going to be a long time for Baron. It looks like they're just trying to make sure it's clear for Doublelift.
Oh, the whole arena shouting, chanting TSM, and then the counter. He's got to yell the counter everybody else. It's the passion. But TL, nope, taking his energy a little bit here. They're up 1,000 gold. And this top turret, though, will go down in just a moment here. They have
so
3 to 4 people on the
slowly.
top side.
We'll see this fight one more time.
Yeah, Hanser roaming up again, and then the EQ again.
That was like a charged petrifying gaze. He like already hit it in his knockup, so he falls and casts it.
I feel like taking Jarvan into Cassiopeia is a really good thing because grounded doesn't matter. You can EQ over the grounded effect, and then you can just root her, and if she doesn't have flash, she has to be in there with you. So it ends up being a really devastating combo. So like the solo laners of TSM are kind of built to destroy Golden Glue and Piglet. And the carries that they've picked for themselves. The TSM comp, it's like they have ways to engage on people who are low mobility, and then at the same time, Doublelift has ways to disengage. So if you played identical fights to the last one where, hey, your front line's in our back line, and then our front line's in your back line, you just trade them, the back line of TSM has a little bit more self-peel. And a little bit more dive on their front line, too. So if TSM were going to play exactly the same game as last time, which this game is looking pretty similar at the 60-minute mark.
Almost exactly the same.
Yeah, TSM will fare a little bit better in that mid-game in terms of the fights.
Incredible vision here by TL on the bot side. You can have good vision, but can they use it? It looks like they do want to put some advantage towards Hanser here.
Looking bottom, though.
Whether or not he gets dove. One more wave is prepping behind him. Doublelift, maybe once he sees this, continues to push the turret harder. They just pinged on the top side.
Yeah, they see 5 down here. Lolo's going to have to go to, back top where Doublelift is. Who's picking up solo experience as an AD carry here, which is actually interesting. I like it in this case where they put their highest physical damage threat in a composition that's mostly physical damage to the top lane to get that solo experience. You can see a bit up above Piglet, who's still level 9. Yeah, it's about, I would say, 3/4 of a level up. And it does look like Svenskaren's going for a penetration build, but hold on, they've caught Rain over.
Oh, that cannot feel
and
good,
Matt.
Liquid. Liquid has all of their members going into one position. They're being pulled apart now as they start to pull back for Doublelift's pressure in the top lane. And Team Liquid cannot get away from TSM in the retreat.
It's these tier 2 turrets. TL had vision controlled last game of the top side where Baron was, and now this game they have it on the bottom side. It's littered with wards. They should see everything coming a mile away, and then they try to go a little bit deeper, and they end up getting punished there because of the engage from Biofrost.
Really does hurt because the setup takes oh so long.
He sees
and
it
in a matter of moments.
Tries to fight it, doesn't see that Biofrost is there, and that's just a charm pass through on the W, and Rainover dies. And then here onto Golden Glue, Doublelift is flanking. Doublelift comes down from the top side, so it's an 80 carry flank onto him, and he already used his Petrifying Gaze there, and it missed. And they're able to pick him up afterwards. And that resulted in, I believe, a mid-turret going down. And now this Drake's coming up, but look at this, the counter, Biofrost!
Is it ever over? The fights continue. 18 minutes in, Svenskaren's forced to drop, still on the close side of TL. He'll go down slowly. Top lane being pushed by Hanser. And as TL picks up these small kills, they're gonna get the extra things. Dragon, but no more turrets just yet.
we'll get this Mountain Drake, and that's big. Mountain Drake with Cassiopeia, when you start doing the Baron, it is fantastic. You can do it so quickly.
He's not even going to show up. I wanted to see the Cassiopeia damage. I can't even say it, Irene. Damn it.
Cassiopeia.
All right, so Mountain Drake over to TL. They've had a little bit of control, as we said, once they get to these turrets. But here we'll see how much they even get the waves past the river. We'll keep that on mark. Not that it's a bad thing or not, but it's up TSM now to continuously push them up, pressure what TL is doing and deny their vision, and they have been doing that very well.
Yeah.
Seems like they know from last game that since this is going to happen again, they're taking control even earlier on the side of TSM.
Yeah, making sure that they have control of that top side. And right now, TSM have a very slight lead, but TL able to pick up the red buff. Piglet has been doing quite well this game himself again. Yeah. And they're getting kind of close to that team fight phase. We do have, instead of the Rod of Ages, it's the Morellonomicon here for Golden Glue, looking for those mono resets during fights, and also just low cooldown. So interesting as well, because it means that he's pretty much guaranteed to be dove by Haunter, but he needs enough survivability to not get completely destroyed. They're waiting on Piglet's Hawkshot here. There's no need for them to face check it unless they think TSM can do the Baron incredibly quick.
TSM doing a lot of what TL was doing at this time. This was Matt in the brush for the team. They were looking for thresh hooks last game. Here they're setting up that generic mid-game, making sure that the middle of the map is theirs. And anything from Raptors Red is an engage for them.
Yeah, and you can see the damage there from Sunscare, 2 penetration items as well as the Runic Echo. So the Elise is a little bit more oriented towards the ability power. And then I believe he'll get the Leandries afterwards, and then that's really what is he getting as Elise? Is he going for the tank stats at that point? Because we've seen him so far, beat 2 of those 4 deaths from getting picked off, and it's quite easy to do at that point. Catching the tank.
Bjergsen actually got the Justice Punch into Rainover, forced to flash out, but they go back in. Biofrost on the back line, charming everyone up. As the eyes glisten, TL has to regroup on this fight, and Golden Glue and the rest of the team once again limp away. The bot lane fight is still half and half between Lorlo and Haunter, so nobody comes out ahead here.
Bottom lane, Haunter had the teleport, so it looked like Lorlo was trying to keep Haunter there so he couldn't TP in. There's a possibility of a flank ward or a way for him to get in and really mess that fight up, because that was one that was very close to going either way depending on if one more piece of CC landed.
Intentions can be seen in Team Liquid's inventory. At least 7, another pink ward being brought up. 7 of them now coming out into the field to try and lock down this vision so TSM can't get in and under the skin of TL. Baron's going to be a big thing. I think a lot of these pink wards are going to be done in just kind of the ward war, if you will. Placed, killed, placed, and fought over.
Yeah, if TL ever get to the point where they can get a pick, they will do the Baron incredibly quickly if they have all 5 members up. The Cassiopeia, infamous for being able to take the Baron with a Mountain Drake, making it probably the best Drake on her. It's like, damn, those Cassiopeias. They take it so fast in Fog of War. So they want control. As soon as they'll establish control, we'll see if they do anything with it. You can go for picks with this composition too. You have the Ashe, you have the Bard. Just have to watch out for the tanks, the beaconess. It's one of the kind of criticisms of playing a Galio mid is you have no big like 80 carry threat burst mage or something that like kills tanks very quickly, but you have another tank that has high income. So the fact that they have this Galio that can face check, that can kind of waltz in, we saw what just happened where everybody had to kind of focus Bjergsen down and they still didn't even get him. Is huge. Because if you're playing against a pick comp like Ashe and Bard, being able to have somebody live for 5+ seconds is huge. And look at that, they're on Piglet.
Oh!
Wants to dunk him.
Hello! Piglet gonna have nightmares after that one. Haunter living his dreams. And now 5-4, 23 minutes on the second tier in mid. And it looks like TL won't give him anything else to grab onto, but TSM is definitely looking.
And like I said, this Jarvan pick is just built to go after Piglet and Golden Glue. And that wasn't even a teleport from Haunter. They're looking for more, though.
Lorlo's coming in. The teleporter bringing the fight to the rest of the team. That's how it goes. A good kill by Rainover as he drops down on Svenskeren with the spikes. Lorlo.
Haunter went in. He's looking for the cleanup.
He's trying to save Golden Glue. They get the pop down onto Haunter, and they finally take him down.
Yo, I gotta say, Matt, 100% KP, and that was all him in that fight. The binding to actually lock up Haunter and stop Bjergsen on the first charge, and then the binding afterwards, brilliantly played there from Matt. Really, you're seeing the comfort on Bart there. Haunter, though, the flag and drag in, and then the flash afterwards. All right, from Piglet, gets absorbed. And this right here hits Haunter. Now you see Bjergsen can't keep going. Then Golden Glue gets caught, and then the Bard ultimate will come through afterwards, and that's really big as well because it just kind of zones them away. And you'll see here, boop, Bjergsen can't get in that area to guard the retreat. Sven gets killed on the way down. Another stun lands, and that means Reignover jumps forward. And then right here, almost kills Golden Glue, another stun. Matt in there, landing stun after stun, didn't miss one in that fight.
Can't dog on Haunter on that. That looks so juicy.
Oh yeah, no, seriously.
It's like 100% of the time I would dive in.
Every time, 100%.
Every time. So close this game. 800 gold means nothing 25 minutes in. 6-6. The turrets are dropped equally as well, so nobody can really route each other behind the turrets. It has to be done from the front. We saw TSM try to go through the front door that time.
We're gonna see something very soon. This break, both teams want it. They want Piglet.
Jump on the Haunter. Here comes Bjergsen. Piglet gets hit up. Biofrost gets himself in, charms up the rest of the team. Lorlo's gonna go down next. The rest of TL call retreat as they go to the top side mid of the map. And now it's gonna be Dragon, the next mountain, going over to TSM, along with their Cloud Drake. Like I said, they have control.
You're gonna see something very soon because TL want that Drake. You get 2 Drakes, you get this Baron in the blink of an eye with this composition. But TSM, they already got Piglet's Flash the last time. They combo it together with the Cataclysm and the Hero's Entrance like I had stated in Champion Select, and they're just going after Piglet every time. Going after these carries, these low mobilities, man, and that's what TSM's strat is here. If you don't have a high damage composition, it doesn't matter because you're hitting a squishy in the backline, and you can reach him every time. Haunter, doesn't matter about Lorlo right there. Goes in, Piglet gets knocked up, gets healed, gets redemption. Then he still drops because of the damage that comes through afterwards. That's just a fight you can't feel at that point. Lorlo tried. Lorlo tried to cast back. He tried everything he could.
So are these only for Baron? Because they still have these pink wards. Since the last fight when they came out and lost at mid, they didn't place any of those. There were only 2 wards during that engage when Lorlo walked up. Still no wards when Lorlo went to place that, and they just lost Piglet. They're really focusing on one thing, and I think it's hurting them a little bit here. They need that vision down. Right now they're sweeping, and they're getting themselves into position to do something.
Yeah, they're trying, but that Scuttle Crab's been taken. Blue buff does go over to Golden Glue.
They just went into blue side and didn't leave a ward again. So
yeah,
you got to breadcrumb yourself at least. Give yourself an advantage here. They're kind of just balled up with each other, hoping the fight won't go bad.
Yeah, Matt has wards. I don't think there's any left on Reignover, and they're just trying to get back to mid very quickly. There's a TP from Jarvan. They know Piglet doesn't have flash still. Cataclysm back up due to the CDR. I don't know what he's looking for there. That's a head scratcher right there. I feel like TSM now are in a position where we need to get Lorlo's TP, start the Baron. Clear it out, start the Baron, push mid, and get priority there, and then go ahead and like try to get that teleport somehow. Because this Gragas will start to threaten that bottom side, or not, I guess. But look at this, there's the pick.
Things are super scary. The vision, the one that does go over the wall, gets them taken down. Because TSM had moved up too far, and they are going to go past their wards. Golden Glue's going to be next. Seraph's Embrace goes down, but here comes Bjergsen. You cannot take down the Bass brothers this time. And TL, the rest of the team, making their way to the base for safety. A stun up going on to Haunter. He knew it would happen, but he's just chasing them out of the fight. And Baron in the eyes of TSM.
Yep. Jarvan and Renekton, great bruisers to be playing, and Haunter seems to be quite adept at them right now. Just diving straight in. And look at this. Because instead of going for the Baron bait itself, they just bait the area, and they get the pick that they want on Reignover, so there's no chance of a smite steal. Piglet's got to be careful, though, because Haunter can always EQ onto him. Lorlo? It's hitting Sven, guys. All right.
And there's also no pressure for them to have to go back right away. They could have stayed, but they're going to get themselves onto the base fast, get back out onto the rift. Monster stays top to make sure this lane pushes. And I said, let's like track the waves a little bit. This is really the first time that we've seen, again, TL on this side of the map. Things have been tough. This is kind of what TSM went through first game, though. TL maybe kind of playing the deja vu where they repeat, where they can hold off. It's just becoming a little bit harder here as TSM is finding their leads.
The early game is pretty good, and TL was looking for some advantage, but like they left Piglet alone. He gets dove, and I feel like they are not baiting objectives properly just yet. TL are actually dead last, 10th place in terms of their Baron percentage and their Dragon percentage. So Team Liquid really struggle at controlling objectives, including the Drake itself, which should be one that you say, all right, we're on this side of the map, we have a winning bottom lane. Drake should be ours, at least the first one, or at least the first two, just off of having a bottom lane that's performing the way that Piglet has been performing alongside Matt.
We did kind of see that here in this game for a bit, but a kind of loss of control after that swap. We saw them try to go top. And TSM definitely stopping them quicker through the jungle this time as opposed from lane to lane. They were able to get those single picks and slow TL down. 53.5 to 48.6, and TSM starting to own every bit of Team Liquid's jungle here as they move on to the last second-tier turret in the bot side.
What is Hansard building? He's got himself a BF sword. He feels very confident. He may be going for a Duskblade to just have extra burst. Because you just have to kill this squishy that's not going to build any armor.
Yeah.
And they have enough armor on Hansard and Bjergsen now that Piglet's had to kind of deviate from the double Zeal item build for a bit and go for a last Whisper.
Question mark, top side.
It could also be Guardian Angel. That's right, BF Sword does build into it now, which is actually probably the most likely one.
Yeah, stay
But look
alive.
at that, charm the back line, they dive in.
Biofrost gets the ultimate from Bjergsen this time. What a hit from TSM, unexpected by TL, and you can see as they fall to the ground how unexpected it was. 50 seconds on the death timers here, and it looks like TSM is going to make quick work of the base. Rainover only on the left side here. They're trying to stay alive to clear minion waves, if that's even possible at this point. TSM on to the Nexus turrets now. 30 minutes in, much quicker, and much more in a TSM fashion. They're able to drop into the base, take down TL, and now they're looking for a few more kills, as per usual, before they take down the Nexus. 2-0. TSM take down Team Liquid.
And TSM advanced to 3-2, and TL at 1-5. TL will end the first third of the split with only a single victory for themselves. Fans have to be a little bit worried, but for TSM, fans are worried at the start with those two losses coming early on, but then the win against CLG and then the win here against TL, where it never really felt like they were out of the game ever, and it wasn't like this gigantic comeback. They kept the gold close, about 2,000 gold deficit at most between these two games, and were able to kind of come back off that play. Yeah, Loro just kind of
that moment. Whoops, sorry. Also there, I thought it was pretty funny, Bjergsen giving a really big hug to Biofrost there at the end there. Kind of a jovial, holy, that was a much better game kind of hug. It seemed like speculation, but even Biofrost himself, a big sigh there, a big hand on his chest as they were walking over to BTL. Is everybody had a bit better of a game there.
Well, you know what happens? You die level 1/2.
Oh man.
And then you go, oh my god, did I just ruin the whole game? And then you lose turret.
It's like you come out of you come out of last game and it's like, oh, I dove in a few 2 times, I died on Rakan. Let's not do that. Level 1.
Oh,
died on Rakan.
Exactly. And then he ends up having a pretty good game for himself there. Ends it with 3-2-5. A lot of the engages.
Miles.
Oh yeah, especially Hansard there. He gave his seal of approval on that game. Hansard, highest damage in the game, 22,000 damage. And the next highest on his team was 15,000, and that was Sven Skaren on the Elise. So you could see most of the damage was coming from that top lane, trading back and forth.
TSM definitely go back and look at game 1 and say, all right, there are a few things here, but
yeah,
2 definitely putting them on, if you will, putting them on cloud 9 for this game.
Exactly. When they had played the Galio previously, they played it with a Fiora top, and then the other time they played it with a Rumble top. Right? So people were kind of criticizing the Galio pick for TSM.
Like, what do you dive in with?
Jarvan, you dive right in.
Hey.
You just Cataclysm on top of it. Their AD carry is just screwed at that point. He can't do anything.
Or Rakan.
Exactly.
See, at that point, that last engage made me a liar, where he just went in on the full team. It's like, when you're that far ahead, you can Rakan that all day long. But we saw how difficult it is to get good Rakan ults.
Yeah.
And this is TSM trying to organize a fight.
Yeah, it's not as easy as somebody like Aphromoo has made it look like right as we were introduced to Rakan in professional play. Is like the Rakan is not as easy because you have to put it right on top of the person, but it has to be still within the range of your charm to pull them in because a lot of people overshoot it. And the charm actually works in a strange way where if you charm and you W through somebody, if I pass through you, you're actually going to keep traveling this
you'll
way
follow me.
instead of, no, you're not going to follow me. You're going to go to where I was when I charmed you. You're going to walk this way, and I'm going to go behind you. But if I put it like right there, you're going to walk closer to the center. So you have to put it like right on top of the
walk
person.
out of the knockup if you do it that way.
Exactly.
A very interesting interaction. Now you know, gaming guru, as I said.
I had to do a lot of work on Rakan. I had to look.
So
looking at a lot.
looking at TL though, early game, wow, they are able to control lanes, find themselves the advantage, but then it just seems like they don't definitively know where to put that advantage at the right time.
Yeah, TL. It feels like their objective baits are just a little bit off, right?
Yeah.
They aren't. I mean, there's an inherent risk in baiting an objective, right? Like, oh, they'll push mid lane instead of actually checking the objective, and then having a shot caller that can play around those situations dynamically is really what you need. In TSM, it seems like even in an even game, or even if they're behind, you still kind of get that feeling that TSM, they know when they have the vision and the exact same setup that the other team has as an advantage, that they're able to do a little bit more with it because they're able to take those smaller risks to get a lot of reward from it.
Bjergsen able to crush you with a shockwave in 2 seconds. Just all those little plays they make late
You give him
game.
2 seconds? I was like, half a second.
Oh, man. So for more on that win from TSM, let's check in with Freak and the TSM bot laner.
Thank you very much. I am here with Doublelift here, TSM's bot laner, as he mentioned. And first off, I want to talk about the match that just played. You won 2-0, but it seemed way closer than most would have expected. And I want to ask, was that TSM underperforming, TL getting better, somewhere in between? What did that feel like for you?
I think TL played pretty well, but I think it's mostly just like we didn't really expect some of the things coming in. Like, for example, they have a really good answer to Xayah Rakan, which is like an Ashe lane with the super aggressive support like Bard or Thresh. And they played really well with their champions. Like Reignover is known for playing really well at Olaf, and like some of his pathing just really screwed over our lanes. Like he helped their bot lane win, and then he ganked mid, and then he helped top lane win blue flash, and then he like repeat ganked top lane, all while being like 2 levels up. So Reignover's pathing is really something like it's really annoying to play against because it doesn't feel like there's too many holes in it. And yeah, I think TL has definitely gotten better, but we were just caught off guard in the first game.
Absolutely. So maybe improvement in the future then for you guys. I want to ask about a historic rivalry now. It's you against your old team with Liquid. Was there anything special there when you're going up against your former teammates in Piglet and Matt and Co?
Actually, nothing really. It's funny because everyone thinks that I like super want to beat them, but I mean obviously do. I really want to win, but I don't have any like special grudge or anything like that. I just feel like I was a mercenary and I was like on that team, and then now I'm off that team and I don't really have a super close connection with those players anymore. But I respect the team and I respect like what they're trying to do. Just trying to not be a meme, but oh well.
That's fine. So that's okay. So I want to talk about an announcement that came forward today. TSM posted out that you're trying out a substitute AD carry, Mr. Rawls, on loan from Fnatic in a certain sense. Talking about what that's been like, maybe sharing scrim time. What's it been like having Rawls in the house?
We haven't shared scrim time yet. It's still me playing every scrim, but in the future, I think maybe next week we're gonna like start swapping off in scrims, and it's just gonna help me get a like better perspective, I think. And I think we're just trying to build out like a fully fledged sub roster because of franchising and stuff like that. So I'm just excited to expand the roster, work with new people, and yeah, I feel like initially coming in there was expectation that I would be like going in and out with Wild Turtle, and so like that expectation of having like another AD carry still went through.
I assume you're looking to sign more Danes in the future, TSM. You've got maybe 3 in the eyes so far. But honestly, the question I have for you though is, you kind of mentioned a little bit, you're looking to sign maybe 4 or 5 new players, or is it just you TSM's trying to replace?
Jesus, I think I'm not 100% sure on the plans. I'm pretty sure that we're trying to do a full-on sub-roster because of the academy system that's coming in the near future. So, every team is going to have a full-on 10-man roster, and I think we're just trying to get a head start and grab the goodies before everyone else does.
I like that plan. So final question for you. In 3 weeks' time, you're going to be representing North America at Rift Rivals over in Berlin, battling against Europe's best alongside Cloud9 and Phoenix One. Tell me how that's going to go. You going to clean sweep?
Clean sweep. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone always trash about like NA versus EU. I feel like the EU bot lanes aren't really that good. So NA's gotten a lot better, and I am just really excited to play at Rift Rivals and play against G2 especially, because I think they have like the most fans by far, and it'll just be hype. You know, TSM versus G2 always brings a lot of eyes.
It's going to be a fun one, Double. Thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you tomorrow playing as well. Back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Freak. Double if they're talking about how Team Liquid did have some solid answers, at least to their laning picks. And if we go all the way back to Game 1, I want to reference that Team Liquid has found early advantages in many of their games, particularly Game 1. I mean, the 8-1-8 performance on the Olaf from Reignover in a loss. Pretty impressive, but of course, you know, stats are one thing, the W column is another.
Yeah, and I mean, like the Olaf, you know, for Reignover is kind of like the Aurelian Soul for Huhi. You give it to him every once in a while to refresh your memory that like, oh my God, he's a beast. Don't give him this champion. It's a huge crutch for him and the whole team. So
right.
Get it out of there. And then once, you know, they're forced off that in Game 2 after failing to win Game 1 with such an early lead, it's obviously a much tougher task for Team Liquid.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You push him off the Olaf in which he's able to create early action. He opts onto the Kha'Zix even while the Elise is up, letting TSM pick that very late in the draft. So again, picking themselves into a situation where they can't create as much action. Now, all that said, Piglet and Matt did do work here in the bottom lane, at least initially on the 2v2 that we saw just 3 minutes in. Level 1, they pick up this early kill, but still doesn't really get pushed into anything else.
It's a good aggressive trade here on the side of TSM. The Xayah Rakan lane with the W on can do a lot of damage. After they get the summoner trade here in their favor, they actually end up burning 3 summoners for 2, and they can back out and play this a little bit safer. You obviously don't have your Elise pathing down here, so they're a little bit concerned. But then they go in here, and you know, Biofrost going for the aggressive W doesn't flash out instantly in reaction to Piglet's flash. He gets hit by the bar Q. You need to flash that, and if you trade flash for flash and then let the lane come into you, that's really not that bad because eventually your Elise will come down there. Now there's no flash on anyone bot lane with a Rakan for setup. It's a pretty good gank attempt if you just played it a little slower.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Blowing an Ashe's flash at level 1 when you have the easy gank from an Elise who can repel flash in as well as a Rakan who can follow up on that. It feels like that just slight mechanical misplay there out of Biofrost did, of course, hand over a lot of lane control towards Team Liquid. But this is where we expand to the larger issue with Team Liquid, which is that great. We saw evidenced in Game 1 you can create an early game lead up to thousands of gold.
Yes.
But if you're then going to still lose that lead in the late game, return in Game 2, take picks that will basically make it even harder for you to create that lead. How do you now expect to win late game team fights with an even smaller gold advantage?
It's like a chicken or the egg kind of argument where you can take great early game champions, build these big leads, and then watch yourself throw them, which is kind of what tends to happen with Team Liquid. Or you can pick later game team champions, you know, try and go a little bit late game, and hopefully with these better picks in the late game, it eases your, you know, barrier of execution. Either way, they need to fix their own, you know, actual problems. A champ is not going to change it too much. Comps will benefit it, or you know, be good or bad a little bit, but until you really figure out how you want to play out the late game, it's going to be an issue.
Well, and that's the tough thing, right? I mean, it's easy for us to criticize and to diagnose the issue of like, well, they don't have a solid late game when they have a solid early game, and if they try and hold on till the late game, then they'll be too far behind in gold. And I think a lot of the issue is, okay, well, how do you focus the practice then? Do you make the decision to behind closed doors work on the late game while on stage going all in on the early game and hoping that you just eke out the wins by virtue of the gold lead? I don't know what the answer is. Maybe you as a former coach have some insight.
It definitely depends on what you're seeing behind closed doors, because from the outside, without hearing the communication, without hearing what's going right or wrong, for us, it just seems like they can't win a late game team fight, no matter what. We've seen them with 5K gold leads, even in the series that they won last week, losing games with a Baron. They get aced, you know, pushing in inhibs. That happened multiple times, and it seems like based off maybe some of the comms that came out, some of the things the players have said where they don't think they communicate well in the late game, until you fix the communication as the highlight, your team fighting will always be very hit or miss, depending on if you instantly blow somebody up or if you get into a scrappy team fight, you no longer have the kind of coordination that a better team does.
Well, and of course, this was shown throughout this series as a whole. We're going to pull up the final fight just so we can get a little bit of a picture to throw with the language that we're using, but especially against a team like TSM, who domestically has always been one of the top team fighting teams. You can see this basically happened throughout both games, regardless of the goal differential.
Yeah, and especially with this game having the Jarvan Galio combination, the backline dive is extremely strong, especially versus TL's comp, which really doesn't have much peel. You might have a Gragas ultimate to disengage, or maybe at best a Bard ultimate. Yeah, but really not much to stop that combo from getting onto your backline. And I mean, this is what we're talking about, where like the better teams with their late game coordination, they know exactly when they want to engage. They're on the same page. They're all going at the same time, and they're destroying you. And that's one of the things where TL is clearly lacking, and they have to improve with their actual synergy, not just let's pick a better late game team comp, or let's snowball earlier.
Right. I mean, Haunts are coming up big here with the 22.7k damage for the team.
That's a big Jarvan.
He'll also receive Player of the Game. I also think it's kind of interesting to see Sven Skaren actually so high up there, second highest damage in the game on the Elise, so it kind of points to how much he was making visits to lanes and involving himself in skirmishes.
A lot of the early and mid game kind of broke down to once that initial bot lane death happened, TSM realized they wanted to split the map. They pretty much exclusively traded turrets and picked on Lorlo. That means a lot of the time it was both Jarvan and Elise, the two highest damage dealers in the game, killing him or at least forcing him off turrets over and over. And that's kind of why you saw those damage numbers the highest. And then after a little while, eventually Haunter has received so much of this gold in these trades that he's the big threat. And when you're going against two immobile backline carriers of TL with a big Jarvan and no way to stop him from getting in there, yeah, you're going to do a lot of damage.
All right, so just let's close this out here talking about TSM for a moment, because at the beginning of the day, we kind of positioned the discussion around, hey, here's the teams that are, starting hot versus the ones that aren't. And TSM and Cloud9 both kind of found themselves in the middle of the pack as our previous split finalists. How do you feel coming out of this game? Granted, it was a 2-0. We even heard Doublelift talking that not necessarily confident in the way they played it out, and the fact that it was as close of a series as it was within the 2-0.
I think you have to look at a little bit what he said about how TL had some good picks into the Xayah Rakan lane, which is something that, over the course of the split so far, Doublelift and Biofrost have been smashing lanes. They have basically the best stats for anybody. And this was a time where they pretty much got countered in terms of how they wanted to play the game out in the early game. Their bot side losing is something they're not used to playing around. So I think that might be why it looked a little bit shakier than you would expect, because for the most part, Sven Skaren played fine, Bjergsen played fine, and Haunter played fine. The bot lane got picked on more than we're used to seeing.
All right, well, they got the victory while they're still ramping up on that roster. We've got more league action coming your way. Up next, FlyQuest hit the Rift versus Counter Logic Gaming.